Listen in as the two business guys mastermind on how to build your go-to-market strategy and how they're using that to launch their new business. Enjoy. This business podcast, the two business guys mastermind, uncovers for you secrets and share tips and tricks to entrepreneurship as they mastermind on how to have startup, operational, and overall business success so that you can go on to get better results. Enjoy. Wow, John, we are almost ready to go to market, right? We're going to be doing our soft launch. Everybody, we are happy to have you back. Remember, we were talking about business from scratch, and you know that the two business guys, we not only mastermind and help other people come up with tips and tricks and opportunities to, boost their business. We do it ourselves. So what we have now is the EntreHustler newsletter. So we've decided to go ahead and create something from scratch, and we're going to be launching it today. So we're going to quietly launch this thing. So John and I, what we have been doing is just taking a final look at it, looking it over, seeing if we got any errors in it and stuff like that. And I tell you, when you are launching something, everybody, you at the last minute will find some critical errors, right? You'll find some spelling errors sometimes, depending on what you're launching. If it's an ebook, if it's a book, you'll find all kinds of stuff. It's like, oh my gosh, they forgot an S there. They forgot an E, right? There is not spelled that way. It's spelled this way. Little things like that. So John and I, we were looking over the newsletter itself. We're talking about some very critical things. And we want you guys, as you're seeing us deliver this, think about it for your business too, John. Now, we were talking about the go-to-market strategy, the organizational strategy, and then the business model, right? And we got a lot of this gleaning from some of the stuff that Reid Hoffman talks about in his book, Blitz Scaling. We will, depending on where you see this, we'll leave a description to that book or leave a link to that book in the description field. But John, when we think about the go-to-market strategy, this is a part of it, isn't it?
Absolutely. You have to have a plan. What is this intended to do? This isn't just a source of information, but how do you monetize that information? How do you bring individuals back? What type of content are you offering? Once you go into it and you click on different things. So if you're talking about, for example, a piece, let's say Ford vehicles. Well, you want to have a link that takes you to Ford that you get paid on for taking people to Ford, so they can go look at what you're talking about to go in deeper. But then you're also getting paid off of that as well.
Right. Yeah. So if you think about this, everyone, if you notice that even within that conversation, we're talking a little bit about the revenue model, but that's a part of the business model too, right? But when we think about going to market, we got to think about all of the elements like John just spoke of. We got to think about, well, when we go to market, what is that going to look like? How are we going to present it out? And as we dig deeper into that, we start thinking about, okay, are we going to go to market with an email list? That's how we're going to go to the market. Are we going to go to market via a trade show? Are we going to go to market via, so we're starting to think about, and as you think about your business, think about how you're going to basically bring your business to the marketplace. What's that strategy? Within your strategy, you are, obviously building out how it might look so you can have these test areas. You see, these test opportunities for you. All right, business, go-to-market strategy A, email list. What was the response? Go-to-market strategy B, press release. What was the response? Go-to-market strategy. You see what I mean? So now all of these things within that bigger strategy becomes the points that you get information because of what you're presenting out into the marketplace, right? The key is, how do you do this in a way that you become the person or the business that people are talking about, that people want to engage in, right? Now, all of this is related to, I think what we were talking about last week, John, is product market fit. everything pretty much hinges on, do I have a good product market fit? Is what I'm doing fitting with the consumers out there? And we talked a little bit about what that looks like, right? If you think about product market fit, and we think about having a product or service that automatically customers know what to do with. They go, oh, yeah, I like that. I can use that. I can use that immediately in my business. It helps me. They just start messing with it. That's when you know you have fit. When you got to do too much explaining and you got to do too much convincing and too much marketing, might not have market fit, right? And then that's also within your go-to market strategy. Now, I love when I read this from Reid Hoffman in his book there, Blitz Scaling, and it made so much sense. And it just helps you streamline things and think about things in a different way. Because the ideal is once you have all those factors, product market fit, you understand how you're going to acquire customers, right? All of these little things. What's your customer acquisition strategy? Right? It's like, well, we're going to source customers from here, and then we're going to move them along our funnel and do this, blah, blah, blah. Right? Then now you say, I got product market fit. That's when Reid Hoffman was talking about blitz. You just blitz it. You just like, okay, we got these things. Let's just scale like crazy. Right? And then that becomes, the reason, obviously, he wrote the book and what he was able to do with LinkedIn. Reid Hoffman is the founder of LinkedIn. He says, once people started using it, and he saw that that his assumptions were true. They started messing around with it. They started seeing that they could do. Then they just poured the gasoline on how to grow that thing like crazy, how to get user engagement like crazy. And that's what we're going to be doing with our business. Now, you're seeing us, everybody, you're seeing us take what we've learned, not just from our own business acumen or school, but what we continually learn, and apply it to a brand new start from scratch business, right? So John, we already did a little bit on the organizational structure, right? You had created a beautiful infographic that just laid out how we should do different things.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's key. You want to have a template that you're working off of. For example, we're starting with this newsletter. So what is and isn't going to be in the newsletter? What's the process producing that? How do we handle the content? Who edits it? What's the approval process? Because we want to make sure that we're just not going to market with some crazy collage every month, that it has a method, that we have an established formula. So we're giving people what they expect week after week. The content, what I mean is the type of content that we offer. If I'm a cooking show, I don't all of a sudden appear on a renovation show and start building houses or whatnot. I'm going to stick to my cooking. And that's the same thing that we want to do, working with startups and existing business owners and in entrepreneurship. So we want to make sure that, hey, we're addressing these issues that that stifle growth, that limit growth, that take out 90% of businesses before year 5. So we want to make sure that we're going to market with a formula, a strategy that we can duplicate over and over and over again.
Yeah. And that's the wonderful thing about having a strategy, or having, when I saw the infographic that John created, it kept us thinking about what's important, right? And that's really, sometimes you just need to be a reminder so that you don't go building houses when you're in, you started a cooking show, right? Unless you're building, you're building the food for the people that are out there building the houses, right? And they become your customers, right? If it doesn't relate to the main thing, then that's the point at which you look at why we started it, right? Now, some people call that, it's in their mission statement, right? They can look to that mission and go, wait a minute, this is way off from what we started for, our reasoning why, right? Your big why. but having a visual helps you be reminded of how to. It becomes the system. And and this is one of the skill sets, right? When you decide to do any kind of collaboration, partnership, or whatever you want to call it, is you're always constantly looking at the skill set of the other person and asking, okay, how do we come together and bring those skill sets together so that we can have a successful outing, how we can have a successful collaboration, partnership, or whatever you want to call it, right? And John is very good at being able to sit down and think and conceptualize things. He's very good at, customer care, very good at these kind of things, right? So, and I have my own talents, right? I can look at pieces of material and says, let's monetize it that way. Look at material and says, okay, we should use the copywriting a little bit differently, the wording a little bit differently, spacing, all these different things. So in this particular way, we now are complementing each other as we roll out this thing. Now, that's not to say, everybody, now this is a key part. That's not to say that that doesn't clash sometimes, right? But that's the confidence that you have in each other, that nobody's getting offended, right? When you say, hey, what you do that for? Mm-hmm. That you're able to go, what you do that for? And they're either able to defend that, or they go, we can go back to our list that has nothing to do with this, so we should probably not be doing it. Or it was a little early versus, you know what I mean? So this is what you're doing, everybody. You've got to sometimes trust the strength of your other person and then try to make it work things out. If that person is very good at, press releases or putting things together, and you wanted to kind of wait, maybe it's because they are good at that is what attracts you to that person, right? As the partner. And then you kind of go, well, maybe I would have, analyzed it too much. I would have done this and then it wouldn't have got out on time. And that person is the person that helps you get it out on time, right? Mm-hmm. So when we started putting this together, we started looking at it, right? And I did John went out and got some things created, and then I came in and looked at it, and we're saying it's okay, we need to do some things here. We look at the business model itself, how we're going to revenue this thing out, and we are going through that now because it is launch day, everyone. Today, we're going to launch it. We're going to put this out into the hands of a email list that we've been able to collect, and then we're going to start asking questions as we get responses back. Right? We're going to start asking questions. Hey, what did you think about the material? We'll do a poll. What did you think about the material? Did it help you at all? Little things like that, right? That you now get information back so you can go and iterate and tweak it, but you get it out there, right? And John, to his credit, we put a date out there. We says, hey, listen, this is when we're going to do it. It's going to be right at the first week of April, period. And this was just not too long ago that we said we're going to create it and get it out there at this time frame. So it made us really come together and figure some stuff out. It may have, a couple of tweaks to be done. That's the whole idea. That's why we're going to roll it out and then get feedback. So John and I were talking about some of the revenue models. Now, we're not going to tell you our secret sauce or anything like that. But when you're thinking about something like a newsletter, you've got to start thinking about what can I do to monetize this information? And this is what John and I have been talking a little bit about off camera is, okay, the overall business model is that we create information and we create, so it's infotainment, if you will, right? But then we're going to monetize our infotainment via a bunch of different strategies that we're cooking up. Now, here's what we do know, John, you've heard this too, that a business model doesn't always survive meeting the public. Like what Mike Tyson says, hey, everybody got a plan until they get hit in the mouth, right? Yeah. So your business has a plan, an idea, until it meets the marketplace. That's the other boxer. Until it meets competition. Those are the other boxers. Mm-hmm. So, John, what are we thinking about when we created and started saying, okay, here's our potential business model? What were some of the thoughts that you were running through your mind as we put this out there?
Yeah. What are some of the businesses or, ancillary businesses that work within our industry that provide services, that provide products
Mm-hmm.
to the customers that we're reaching out to entrepreneurs?
Mm-hmm.
So you could think of it, for example, like Visa. You a lot of our customers, being merchants, would have some type of merchant processing system, to run their credit card transactions. So that would be a partnership, a potential partnership. So looking at other businesses that you could come alongside and partner with, that you're both looking at the same type
Mm-hmm.
of customer base, essentially.
Yeah, that's really good. And it's one of the things that I started thinking about too. Is like, okay, how can we have a platform that's two-sided, right? And when you start thinking about building anything, everyone, think about it as a platform. It's like, now who's going to come onto your platform and how are they going to play together?
Hmm.
So our platform in essence is information, right? And then we want information that encompasses right into the name. Now we created this particular name because we wanted it to have energy and power. That was the key. We
Hmm.
didn't want you to just be entrepreneur. We didn't want you to just be a hustler. We wanted you to be an EntreHustler,
Absolutely.
right? And it is in that energy that when we start thinking about, okay, so the things that we put up in front of the EntreHustler, we will then say, now an EntreHustler would do it like this,
Hmm.
right? So let's say that so how we engage and entertain and thrill the people that are going to read this, right? So we would have something like, and I took off screen, but we would have the information itself, right? And the first one that you guys noticed was a cartoon, right? But the cartoon is talking about business scale. Let me go ahead and pull that back up for you guys so you can see it real quick. So the first one was talking about a scaling situation, right? It's really cool, really cool, really cool little model here. And it's like, oh, you want a whole bunch of scales? Nah, we didn't mean it like that. And then we get into what scaling a business is about. Now, the ideal is that an entrepreneur sees this and go, I didn't think about scaling in that way. We try to make it a little funny, but then within here, we then go into a little bit of a story about what that means. And then you see what I mean, John? So
Yeah,
we go
yeah.
into that. Then we'll be like, hey, listen, an EntreHustler does this. So the entrepreneur would maybe do it this way, but the hustler would get his, grind or her grind on in a certain way. Together, then they have the professionalism of being an entrepreneur, but then you got the, sell it out of the back of your trunk of your car hustle moment of the hustler. Putting those two together is the energy of the whole newsletter itself, right? Because we didn't just want it to be extra, more information they get, and we want you to be an EntreHustler. We want you out there getting your hustle on, right? And we want you to be professional about it. So that's what we put in here. We've got some information about how to scale your business, and that becomes really good information for you. I see a couple things I should probably change, but that's all right. We'll do it. All right, you guys get to see us doing it live. I don't like that spacing. All right, so that becomes a part of the power, okay? When you read this, you kind of go, wait a minute, there's some good stuff here. I can use this in a specific way. Let's go ahead and hit save it. Maybe I'll change it over here. All right, so, and then we go into the next conversation, right? We want to talk about retirement apps for small business owners. Now, here's something that isn't thought about a lot. You don't have to run that business forever. You're running it to obviously graduate your money, feed your family, and enrich you. But you might want to retire from it at one point.
Well, another thing too is a lot of business owners don't put money aside for retirement because they're continuously pouring their funds back into the business. Well, you don't know if your business is going to be here in 20 years. You're going to know you don't know if you're going to be able to sell your business when it's time to retire. So you better have a contingency as
I like
well.
that. This becomes that's power in what John just said there, everyone. So if the business is designed to be a revenue source for you, then that revenue source for you is supposed to peel off cash for you. And if you're doing it in a very specific way, then you increase your tax opportunities, all kinds of good stuff, right? So that business is designed to do that thing for us. Now, what we've done is put in here, this is what we want you to think about. Now, what would an EntreHustler do? Right now, EntreHustler would go and say, well, I'm going to source this kind of retirement plan, or not retirement plan, but I'm going to source this app. This app allows me to do something cool, something interesting. This one is another example of the kind of app that we can do something cool, something. See, the EntreHustler is always looking at the angles and looking at the edges and just seeing where they can leverage something. That's the hustler. Entrepreneur is in business, right? They have created something. If you think about what entrepreneurship means in itself, is that you gather resources, you leverage those resources, and you go and solve problems for people with those leverage resources, right? But the hustler is out there trying to get the groove on, right? Trying to make it happen. So that's why when we think about Betterment, we think about Digit, we think about Stash, and then we come in with pieces of information that say, can you do it like this, right? Now that's a little bit extended. This is when you jump into the newsletter itself and you say, well, I want more information. Then we have an ancillary piece of information that we'll be putting together that tells you now how to absolutely maximize and leverage this stuff to make your business better. So you have the information here, and then you'll have the opportunity to go a little bit deeper with the EntreHustler newsletter and the other things that we'll be offering that then puts you in the velvet rope community, the top tier, the VIP, right? So now you get a chance to learn how best you can use Stash, Digit, and Betterment, right, for your business, and how you can use it to create more business. So now we go into social media platforms. Now, if you look at the information, you go, oh, well, I can get that anywhere. But what you won't get anywhere is how you leverage that to your absolute benefit. That's us hustling to get you best information and get you ways that you can just absolutely kapow your business. That's it, right? And that's why we wanted to name it EntreHustler. So we're going to give you the information, but then we're going to also dig in and says, hey, listen, here's 5 things you can do with this to just make it, incredible inroads in your business, incredible inroads in your marketplace, how you can beat the competition to stuff. Why? Because you're a member of and reading EntreHustler news. That's the key thing, everyone. We don't want you just getting more information. There's enough of that. There's a whole bunch of it in the library. We want you to be able to leverage every single thing you read, because we're going to be showing you how to now go out into your marketplace and dominate. If that's what you want to do. If you don't want to dominate, you just want to, I'm good. Then that you can do it at a successful clip and keep your business in business. John, what was that statistic that businesses go out of business, within 5 years?
Yeah, about 90%, give or take. Some people extend that to 10 years, but it's within that 5 to 10 year span that, only 10% of businesses will last.
Wow. What an incredible, when I think about that number, I continually ask, why is that? Why is that?
So many reasons, right?
Yeah, so many reasons. And then how are you going to, within your business, how are you going to not be that statistic? Right. And if you listen to what John said earlier, is if something like that happens, have you done the things that were able to allow you to peel off money and go into these different categories, right? You've been able to say, well, the business was designed to give me a check at a higher level. It was designed to graduate my money at a higher clip than what the bank could do, right? These are some of the considerations. I built this thing, and you know what? 5, 6, 7, 8 years later, it just, COVID hit or something, and it's gone bye-bye. But in the meantime, it had been peeling you off such really nice returns on your time, returns on your money, that you look at your bank account and you go, well, while it was here, it was awesome. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you're reading EntreHustler newsletter, that's the kind of stuff that we're going to be bringing to you. Hey, here's a strategy. Here's something that you can do. Here's how you can get your EntreHustler on, right? Use this app, use this tip, use this product, use this service, and all designed to make you a better business person and a more profitable one. That's our why we came to market, why we are putting this particular thing out there for you guys. Right now, as I look at this, John, I'm looking at a couple of things. And remember what I said to everyone, that when you're getting ready to go to market and you've set a date and you start seeing things, I noticed a couple of things here, right? I got different font sizes, and I got to look at that and start asking questions on it. What did I do here versus here? Why are these fonts looking differently? And is that going to make a difference to who is going to read it? Little things. This is the stuff that is so great about when you are putting something out there. You find stuff at the last minute. And you're like, oh, we got in a couple hours before we go to market, blah, blah, blah. And you find something. You got to make a decision, right? You can sit over there in depression and think, oh my God, this is the worst thing that ever happened. Or you can get it out there and let your marketplace tell you, hey, we really like that bigger font versus that smaller stuff. I couldn't read it. Oh, that's something. We saw two different fonts. But what we're doing is giving people an opportunity to see it and decide themselves. Mm-hmm. Who knows? We might find out that the majority of the people that we sent this to, we look at our email list and we sent this to, were of a certain age. John, didn't you find that out with your with Ineffable Socks?
Yes, we had, when we did our market research, we had thought that that it would be males, younger professional males that we purchasing our socks, when in fact the actual purchasers of our socks, when we look at the demographics, are more middle-aged women. And so just because you do all the market research in the world doesn't mean that that's going to be the path that defines your whatever your product or service is that you're coming out with. We may throw this out there and we could be stunned. Maybe we think that it's all newer startup within the first 2 years phase businesses, but it could come back that, hey, actually some of these are more established mom and pop businesses that maybe didn't set their structures up right, and they're the ones that are really gleaning and benefiting from our information. So just because we've done research doesn't mean that those are cemented in, those facts are cemented in, and that is our market. Yeah. And what we're going to do is we're not going to try to change our market. So if we do find that it's existing businesses within that time frame, we're not going to try to switch up our materials to go back and capture a different market share. We're gonna monetize that market who is finding benefit with what we're offering.
Yeah, and that's what we talk about, everyone, when we start talking about that product market fit. That product market fit. This is really what you're doing when you launch something, right? You're trying to find the product market fit. And I know Alex Murr talks about this. He says, look, all of your existence, all of your time should be spent on trying to find that. And once you find that, that's when you blitzkrieg, right? That's when you blitz scale. That's what he talks about. And as we started thinking about the material and trying to say, how can we now apply it? Here, what we're saying is that we are sourcing things that have worked for others, and then asking ourselves, do we have a model that we can look at to get an idea from, right? It's the modeling theory, right? It's mentorship in a different way. Then we say, do we have something to contribute to this space? But that's not all we say. And this is what we think about your business. That's not all your business can do. In one of our other podcasts, we talked about asking questions of your business, right? The continual questions. All right, why did I put it together? Okay, that's fine. I put it together for this place. But what else can the business do for me? And the business will answer. It's like, well, now that we're in this space, maybe we dip our toe over here. And this is one of the things that we continually talk about on our podcast is that's another tip. That's another potential trick. It's not the new shiny thing syndrome. We got to keep that under control as best we can. But the business is a platform, and the platform, as the business says, I need to be fed. And don't just keep feeding me the same thing because I'll lose interest. Or in other words, the market gets tired of you. What else can you do? Amazon, books. People says, that's awesome. Then Amazon said, what else can we do? Oh, well, we start offering people an opportunity to sell books on our platform. Oh, so that attracts people to the platform. Then they go, oh, wait a minute. That's power. What else can we offer? Well, because we are now having to get a pipeline into our business to make sure that none of the websites crash, could we sell that? Oh, yeah, I guess you could do that. So then they start selling space. That's AWS. You see what's happening here is that they're constantly saying, hey, what else can we do? Oh, say, well, there's a business model out there called memberships, right? That has been working for the Sam's Clubs of the world, the Costco's of the world. And they says, well, can we offer memberships? They says, well, yeah. The business is asking questions of you. What more can you do for me to keep me alive past the 5? So this is when we think about the original big idea that we had, creating a consortium and all that kind of stuff, we are underpinning that idea with this approach. Now, see what's happening here, everyone. As we are building it from scratch, we have a bigger grand idea, and we says, well, what can we offer the marketplace quickly? Can we put it together in a month or two? And this is what we're doing. Can we put April 3rd as the day we're launching? First week of April. Can we do that? Yep. Right? A little frustration. It's like, it's going too fast, but hey, we got some mistakes. Oh, that's fine.
But what we're doing, Randy, what we're doing is we're not waiting for some grandiose big thing. We're actually taking baby steps towards the ultimate plan.
That's exactly what we're doing.
And when you take baby steps, you're moving towards the ultimate goal. If you're planning and nothing is ever right, and you can't get it, and you never that failure to launch that we've talked about before, then you're never going to have anything. So taking those baby steps and that could be launching a piece at a time, depending on what the business is.
Yeah, I agree with you, John. I call that and I suffer from that, right? I'm recovering from that. You're learning, and not launching to earn. And I'm telling you that I see it with entrepreneurs that I am working with constantly, right? But when they get done working with me, they're launching. I'll say by the end of our conversation, you're going to do one thing toward that thing. Sometimes I'm right there with them. Hold their hand to success. Right. And it's uncomfortable sometimes, and not everybody's ready for it. But the ones that are, they go, oh my gosh, thank you very much. You walked me to the action part of the thinking. Learning, and not earning is not going to do your business any good. Right. And this is what I have to appreciate John on, even at the last minute, I was like, John, why did you put that out there? And it's like, well, you said April 3rd, or that we're going to launch on Saturday, right? So that's where your partner helps you. You might get mad at him. You might go, hey, man, But that's you and what's in your mind and your fears, if you will. It wasn't quite right. Oh, why not? Did you not spend enough time on it? Well, probably not. You see me? That's why sometimes having someone else and within your business, I never forget when I read this. I read a book called Ready, Fire, Aim. And he says, in every business, you got to have a pusher, right? You got to have someone that says, yep, let's put that out. That's the person that is saying this airplane is going to fly. And you go, well, all we got is parts. So, well, we're going over the cliff. Assemble the parts, right? And if you don't want to die, you assemble those darn parts.
Yep.
That's what you need in every business. And I can't remember the other things. He talks about it. But I remember having someone that's a pusher in the business, right? Someone that obviously does things at this conceptual level. You got somebody that makes sure that they're good monetizers, blah, blah, blah. But that person that's the pusher is going to make sure your stuff gets out there come heck or high water. Now for your business, everybody, who's your pusher? And if you're everything, you better be able to put on the pusher hat. That makes you go in and say, do. I had to do that for a period of time, John, because I was, in analysis paralysis about a variety of things. And then I went totally opposite and says, every single week I'm launching a digital product. And that broke me out of it. Right? They weren't always great. They didn't always sell, but gosh darn it, they solved the problem I was having with analysis paralysis. When you put yourself in that type of time frame, that's what it helps. And sometimes if you say, I just can't do it, I don't trust myself enough, blah, 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 then go get your partner. Partner with the person that does that for you. Hire the person that says, if you don't get it out in such and such, you're going to send me $1,000. You're like, I'm sending them nothing. Right? So that becomes the opportunity that as a result of deciding on time frames. I like, John's got a rhino up.
So
tell me about the rhino. He's a pusher.
Yep. Several years ago, I read a book and it was called Rhinoceros Success. And that's why, yep. And that's why I have this rhino. A rhino is going to go through things. Sometimes they're going to make a mess, but they're moving. They're going through, and we need to be like this as business owners. We need to keep plowing forward, not get hung up on things. And we're going to make messes. That's okay. We can clean them up.
Like that, right? Nice. That gives us an idea. So you see what's happening. And this is what we talked about a little bit last week, is how when you come together and you say, you know what, there's more that we are doing than just a podcast, right? And when I'm helping people build their podcast, let's say, for example, I'm also saying, okay, what more can your podcast do and be? Not just a rev generation for you, but what else is it doing? And when I listen to a podcast, I'm asking that question of the people out there. Did what Lewis Howes say to Grant Cardone make me do something? Did it get me fired up, right? When he was talking with the health guys, Dr. Fung, did it get me fired up, right? If I'm listening to Impact Theory, did Tom Bilyeu, was he able to say something to the guest that from what the guest said back got me fired up? That's when you know it's a success, right? That's when you know you are now leveraging what you hear and you're leveraging it into action, right? And that's what we're, with the 60 or so episodes, depending on where you're coming in, 60 or so episodes that we've been able to do. What we have transitioned to is, how can we get you impact when you hear what we're talking about? As John the two business guys are masterminding, right? How can we get you that impact? Can we help you think about something from what we've read, from what John read in the Rhino? Now, I just got an idea from that. That'll be something that we'll put in the newsletter. right? Do you have a rhino business? What? Is your business stalled? Well, here is something. Here are 5 rhino tips.
Mm-hmm.
You see what's happening here is that from this now, can we go out there and again start delighting and amazing the people that are reading? Can we do something for them? Give them a tip, right? And a specific tip, a EntreHustler tip. So we'll probably think about that, right? EntreHustler tips. So maybe we create something EntreHustler tips that is a separate sheet. We use it as an email sign-up possibility. We use it as another rev generator. All because we started one thing. All because we were doing the podcast and we started brainstorming about what else can we do? How else can we help folks? And then letting people in to see it. Right? Now, we talked a little bit about our revenue model, right? We didn't mind sharing it with you. We talked a little bit about our go-to-market strategy. Okay. Now, we didn't get into our customer acquisition strategy because we got some good ones, right? John came up with a couple things last week and I was like, oh, that's awesome. I'll ask him, hey, man, how did you do that? Or what did you do that? You know? And this is stuff that we do all the time. He sent me something the other day, and I want to show you this because this is how, when you're working with somebody, how it's just, it can be so much fun. It can be frustrating too, right? Right? Because it's like a marriage, but it can be fun too. So John sends me this sketch of me. Now, I had been thinking about building one of those because I have a site that I wanted to use, not my face, but I wanted to use a caricature type sketch. And I just hadn't taken the time to go find somebody to do it. Well, John sends me one of a picture that I have. And I thought, that's awesome. And it was, guess what? Right what I was already thinking about doing. But now I can reduce the time it's going to take for me to go find one. I just asked John, hey, who is your guy? Mm-hmm. And he said, oh, Joe Blow guy over here. And I went immediately to that guy and says, I uploaded the picture and says, hey, look, I got more of these I want you to do for a series that I'm going to be doing. Right. And the guy says, yeah, no problem. Just send them for a little bit of money. So this is the power, everybody, of working with somebody, right? Getting outside of your own stuff, having a strategy, something you can look at and go, oh, shoot, that's a check mark. Oh, check that off, check that off, check that off, check that. And if your checks are all right, then you know time to go to market. Mm-hmm. In your business, right? And then what I sent John, did you see the one I sent of you? I did a sketch. I did, it was in your email. So I sent it back. Actually, I got a couple of messages to you that you never responded to, sir.
All right, let me look.
So I had found a program.
Oh, yeah, I see that. That's awesome.
Right. So now I didn't have that one made. I found a program that makes that for me.
Wow.
Right. So here's something interesting is I got a client that wants me to help them get their book to market. And he says, I'm going to pay you to, get it on, to do this, do that, put it on Amazon, all that kind of stuff. So I said, all right, great. So he couldn't find the original cover for his book. And I really liked the cover. It was kind of a transformation cover. So I had to go and find something. I, went on Fiverr and tried to explain it, and people, they messed it all up, right? And Fiverr doesn't always work, everybody, right? So I found a program that would allow me to get as close as I could to his original cover. Then I send it out to somebody to professionalize it. They send it back, terrible. So now I'm like, wait a minute. Do I have to do this myself? That's the whole idea of leveraging yourself so you won't have to do that. But every now and then, you got to bring your skills to the table, right? I ended up taking the pictures that I got, did my thing, the transformation look, put it all together. Then I send it out to a cover maker. Hey, just do this. And then get this, John, I think it was a lady that I was talking with. Then I ended up saying, here's the tools I use, and they're free. Here are the tools I use, right? One was in was in PowerPoint, free for the most part, right? And I says, well, you just put it in, and then you do this, and then another tool I use, I says, and then you bring them together like this. Now, if they're using Photoshop, they can do it themselves. But sometimes you're doing that, but you get inspired by your partner sometimes, right? And that's the beautiful part. I mean, sometimes, yeah, come on now, we're dudes, or your ladies working together. You're a little competitive too. Well, what was that? That was awesome, right? But that's the engine that gets you going. So you guys, hopefully you're able to see that sometimes working with someone can help you. Bringing in new information from other sources can help you. And that's what we're hoping for as we collaborate together, that we use this energy, especially with guys. You know how hard it is for dudes to work together, right? Because we're always trying to, go in each other's cave and take everything. But if you harness that energy, this is for the guys out there that are thinking about coming together and doing something, or hesitant, reluctant partners, right? Try to find the means by which that you within that energy, if it's competitiveness, what it is, that you can work it together. I like to see that, John, when I'm looking at the NFL and I'm seeing a quarterback that's a little older, a little long in the tooth, and then they bring some new cat in. And next thing you know, the other quarterback's fired up and gets them a championship.
Just happened, right?
Oh, yeah. Right? You got this new cat coming in, and the old guy's like, wait a minute. I'm not done yet. Right? I watched Drew Brees come back from injuries. I'm thinking, shouldn't he be out for a year? Nope. Mm-hmm. 6 weeks. Drew Brees is back. Yep. I was like, how is this possible? Well, he was like, nobody's taking my position. And then, he just recently retired, but that's sometimes the energy. Don't let it destroy. Let it empower, right? And let it fire you up. Let it engage you so you can get out there and keep that business going past that 5-year mark, right? Create things within the business that maybe spawn new businesses. Create the kind of business that you are constantly accessing information. Think about what we did here, everyone. Use this as a model. We created something that's going to demand we go out there and get good information for the people that read. So that means we're going to constantly be in touch with cutting edge opportunities because it's our job. If we want to earn, we're going to be constantly going out there saying, how can we engage both sides of our platform? The platform itself is EntreHustler, the EntreHustler newsletter. How can we engage both sides of that? In other words, and I'm going to give you guys a revenue generation tip here. So think about this for a minute. As we are out there engaging on our platform, we're saying to people that are reading, hey, you like this? Click on it. You have an opportunity to buy it. That becomes a revenue generation for us, right? We brought information, we spent time, we spent energy, we spent money. This is how it pays us back. Now, on the other side of that, then we say to companies, hey, listen, would you like to be in front of our readers? And the companies go, yeah, okay. This is what it's going to cost you. Revenue generator number 2. Right? Then we're saying, hey, EntreHustler newsletter, what else can you do for us? You see what's happening here is that you're constantly asking this question. And then you're saying, how can you do something for us that is really designed to do something for our readers? EntreHustler newsletter says, hey, because you got a cool name, we can source all kinds of stuff that helps people get their EntreHustle on better. Right? So we created something that makes us better. That we make sure that we are better for our customers. Are you creating that kind of thing in your business? Are you creating that kind of thing in your business? That's the question, and that's the challenge. If you haven't, you want us to show you how? We will. We will. Read our newsletter, and it'll show you some things. Call us up. We'll show you some things. John, I ran some ads to this is what happened. So I was running some ads to what I did was I put our latest, what was it? It was I did a video and talking about the Two Business Guys podcast. I dropped it on Facebook, then I boosted the page. Now I don't like boosting because it doesn't give you enough controls and all that kind of stuff. Discovered that I had it. This is crazy. I had it. I don't know. For some reason, I had it pointed not toward the United States. And that's why when you boost stuff, sometimes you don't have the necessary controls that you can go in and pick your audience and stuff like that. So for about 3 or 4 days, it was going to, I don't know, India somewhere, right? And then I just turned it and make sure I turned it on it because they give you updates. Hey, your thing is about to end or whatever, right? And I ran it for 5 days, just a couple of bucks for 5 days, see what we can do. And then it was like, hey, it's about to end. And I was like, and it's pointed toward the wrong audience. Like, man. So I went in, changed it, pointed it toward United States and all that. Now, interestingly, I was looking on our actual website, the Two Business Guys website, and we had all kinds of hits. And I'm like, wait a minute, the website's not ready. I was still building it, right? But we're starting to see that from this piece of information, people started checking out other things. And that's what you want in your business. They come and find this, and then they start looking more into you. And they start saying, well, what else do they have? That was pretty good. And now that becomes on the website. Once I build it looks pretty good, right? As soon as we come on, it's me and you. It's pretty decent, but it's not built out to monetize. And that's what I want everything to be. It's not built out to monetize. I don't have my links in there. I don't have a bunch of different things. But people started going to it. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. We're getting traction, right? So this is what you're building, everyone. Multiple ways to engage multiple sides of your platform. And you get a chance. Think about this, John. We not only can we have the EntreHustler newsletter as an opportunity for people to read it and become engaged, but some entrepreneur might say, hey, can I put my product, my new launch in front of your folks? Absolutely, you can. This is what it's going to cost you. Either you're buying a yearly membership to EntreHustler News that we put out for free at first. You see what I mean? Now, as a result of having, because you're paying, maybe you're paying every month or whatever it is, now what we do is you get preferential treatment, VIP treatment for when you ask your product to be placed there. So that's engaging both sides. And then the businesses are saying, hey, we want to be in front of your folks. Then we got people paying us from the left. We got people paying us from the right. And that becomes a bit of the revenue model, everybody. And the business model itself is that we're going to create information, infotainment that is designed to do X, Y, and Z. That's it. Pretty simple, right? Well, if it's that simple, go out and do it. We just shared it with you. Go out and do it. Any help you need, call us up. We'll help you. So, John, listen, I'm going to finish up some of the last little things. And then I know you've got some things to do. I want to finish the last little things and get this launched. It will definitely be launched before the end of the day, y'all. You will be seeing it. We want to make sure that we send it out to the right folks. We got an email list. That's nice, right? And then once we get our feedback from that, then we're going to be going over to the other side of all the emails that we have of businesses and start having conversation with them. Would you like to be featured in EntreHustler newsletter? And we're going to send them a note. Hey, would you like to be featured in? We have a massive growing audience, but you want to get these folks when they're growing. You know what I mean? So now that becomes what we strategize on our salesmanship, right? And whether we're calling them up, hey, you want to have a phone call? Let's talk to the founders and see how your business can fit, or we can show them how their business fits. You want to be in front of our engaged folks because what you offer is something that can help them dramatically. right? That kind of stuff. That's the work, y'all. You can't just put something out there. That's the work. That's phone calls. That's getting, rejected. Don't call me. I got too much stuff going on. But somebody says, absolutely, I want to be in front of them. We got a good product, right? They send us the product and we test it out. This is what I love, John, is when you get products sent to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Absolutely.
So have you been in your business? Now, I know John does this because every now and then, before I knew much about Ineffable Socks, once I started finding out about it, John would send me socks. And I'd wear those. And then I'd wear them, take pictures of them, put them on social media. Hey, I'm wearing my Ineffable Socks, blah, blah, blah. Then I said, John, let me be an affiliate for you. Absolutely. Let's work something out. Mm-hmm. Right? So, John, what has been your experience before we wrap up here, that when you look at the different businesses that you've coached, that you've been able to see in your working life, and then when you were running, even back to when you were running the pipeline business, what did you notice that companies weren't doing to engage their customer base more?
Proactively reaching out to their customer base before they did something, instead of, while they're doing it or after, waiting for things to happen. Whereas my philosophy is you're engaging people all through the process, whether that's your team members or whether that's your customers.
So engage constantly.
Yes, engage constantly, get feedback, ask for feedback, not the stuff that tickles your ears, but the stuff that's hard to hear too, because that's what makes us better. And even going back to the pipeline business, or even when I was in banking many years ago, and I would go and shop our competitors and see what they were doing better than we were, and vice versa. But it's to refine. This is a process. This is a refining process. And you might be a rhinoceros in the beginning, but it doesn't mean that you're not refining this as you go along. You're not keeping it messy, but you're learning from it. Just means you're moving forward, you're learning from what you're doing, you're engaging people, and then you're making your adjustments from that.
I like that. That's good stuff, everybody. Hopefully, what you've been able to see as we have brought this business to life, and once we turn the lights on it and send it out and get either crickets or heavy engagement. Right now, there's a couple of things just that I noticed that we didn't do beforehand, and it deals with the rev model part of it. But because this is kind of a soft launch, now we know, right? We had to get all of banking information to making sure if there's revenue that comes in, or when revenue comes in, it goes into the right spot. That's creating the bucket. I never forget a friend of mine who's a pastor. He says, how are you going to start a business and you don't even have a bank account? Right. And I remember hearing that, and I obviously had one, but it was like he was talking about some other folks, right? How are you going to start something and you don't even have a place where it captures things? Yep. Something as important as that, right? I got an idea. Okay, well, if the idea takes off, where is it going to go? Where is revenue going to go? Oh man, I guess I gotta, yeah.
Right? Money's not going to wait to come in. You're going to miss the opportunity.
Right.
And if you're okay with that, you're okay with that. But you want to capture as much of that as possible.
That's a part of it. And this is something that I was doing a consulting with a business owner just the other day, man. Right. And I was listening. I says, okay, so tell me your process. Because I was trying to listen for everything he was doing within his business. Tell me your process. Right. And he was comfortable, he didn't have to sign NDAs or anything like that. But it was like, okay, tell me your process. And nothing in what he said had anything to do with generating revenue. It was incredible. So I says, hey man, what does any of all that you said help your business survive? Helps your business thrive? Nothing. All of them, they were activities, everybody. It was stuff to do. And he was the founder of the business and pretty much wearing all the hats, which is pretty typical when you're starting out. There's nothing wrong with that. I said, but within all of that, nothing showed me about customer acquisition. Nothing showed me about marketing and sales. Those two are separate. Sales is another thing. Marketing is the attention grabber. Marketing is bringing people in. Sales is making sure that you extract money. So in all that he said, I didn't hear not one word about those factors. And once I told him, I says, none of that has to do with, right? Now, when we started our conversation, it was about, man, tell me about your day. I'm putting out fires. Tell me about those fires. Doing this, doing that. Activity. That's why he felt like he was putting out fires. And that's why he felt like he was too busy. And that's when you know that if in your business, you're doing all of the stuff that has nothing to do with actually making sales, acquiring customers, closing those customers, and then bringing them into the funnel that starts delighting and all of that, then you got to refigure the company. Got to think about it a little differently. That thing is designed to generate revenue for you. That's the key. Mm-hmm. That's the key. And that's what we want to leave you with, everybody, because John and I have to take a couple of looks at some things before we launch the newsletter later today, because our promise to ourselves is that we're going to get it done and get it launched today. John has actually put information out there already that says, yeah, it's coming. I had to call him. Hey, man, we're not ready. It's like, no, you're just analyzing. You're, analyst of paralysis. But we're going to do that. Follow what we've done here in this series, The Business from Scratch, as we launch the EntreHustler newsletter. Get involved with it, right? Get involved. We like to call things movements because we want the EntreHustler, the bringing together of those two types, those two archetypes, so that you can create a fine business for yourself, a business that knows how to hustle, but one that is a professionalized organization like an entrepreneur is trying to build. All right, everybody. John, do we have any last words for folks before we get back to it?
No, don't run your business off of rainbows and butterflies. Make sure there's something that's actually fueling it, because there's not a pot of gold at the other end of the butterfly without finding a way to monetize what you're actually doing.
I love that. Say that again. Rainbows and butterflies. That will make it pretty interesting. Guys, you guys are getting the good stuff, man. This is when you just get giddy with, with ideation. Is rainbows and butterfly businesses. What? If I saw that, I would be so intrigued because of the title. Don't run rainbow and butterfly businesses. Episode 55 of the EntreHustler newsletter. I don't know. And
make you feel good, but you're not your pocketbook, right?
See, that's it. Rainbow and butterfly businesses. Ooh, John, we got to get that down, because don't run rainbow and butterfly businesses. Rainbow and butterfly businesses that make you feel good, and then we create a things that keep you on track, accountability partnerships, whatever it is. Then we can use the whole newsletter as helping people not run rainbow and butterfly businesses. Mm-hmm. Guys, you see what we just did? Okay, we're gonna go. We'll talk to you next time, everybody, because we can go on forever when we do this kind of stuff. All right, we'll talk to you next time.